Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Israel Connection. I'm Esti Zanati, and my guest today is Elkana Cohen. Elkana Cohen is an Israeli IDF commander in the reserves, serving currently in the 551st Brigade since October 7, 2023 in northern Gaza. He is the author of the book Oct 7, The War Against Hamas Through the Eyes of an Israeli Commando Officer. The book is based on diaries Elkana has written through the war while fighting in Gaza, about his personal experience, his feelings, his friends he lost on the battlefield during the war, and more. Elkana, hi. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
So, Elkana, describe your October 7. How did it all start for you, and what went on from there?
On October 7, I slept in my in-laws, and it was a holiday, as everyone knows, and I think it was 5:30 in the morning when my wife woke me up. She was terrified. She told me that she had a nightmare, and in her nightmare, hundreds of terrorists were chasing us, and I couldn't use my gun in order to defend herself. I just
so that was a dream.
Yeah, it was a dream.
Wow.
I just hugged her, told her, Shiran, don't worry, nothing will happen. But then an hour later, I was waking up by the siren of the Iron Dome system that was activated. To be honest, I went back to sleep, but 30 minutes later, something was at Shiran's dream and this Iron Dome being activated made me feel that something is going on. And I told Shiran, my wife, that I'm running into my house to open my phone to see if something happened. I'm observed Jews. I'm not using my phone.
Shabbat. Yeah.
Yeah. But something that time felt weird to me. So I ran into my house, opened my phone, called my commander in order to understand what's going on. And while me calling him, he told me that not only me got called up, but also my wife, which I met in my unit, got called up. We both used to serve in Duvdevan. And I can tell you that I felt a bit afraid, but no question, no hesitation. Like I felt that this is what we need to do. And I packed my stuff, went to the shul, which I knew that Shiran will already be there. And we went back together to our base.
And at what point did you and your team realize that this was not like a normal, quote unquote, kind of war? This is something much, much bigger than we've ever seen before.
I think right after this call, another friend of mine who called me, he used to serve with me, who told me that Shiran got called up. He told me something bad is going on right now in the south. I was asking what happened, and then he told me there is rumor on 3 soldiers that got kidnapped. I said, oh my God, soldier got kidnapped. By now we were wishing it was only 3 soldiers.
Right, yeah.
But at that point I understand that something bad happened. But when I arrived to my base, beside the fact that I saw hundreds of soldiers, some of them didn't get called up yet. They just voluntarily joined and left everything to serve their country. But I heard a lot of people talking about, I can't reach my friends. It was only, I think, 10 in the morning. I can call them. I know that one other friend of mine died. Like it was all chaos. But I think at that point I understood that something really bad happening right now.
And did you guys get to go to the kibbutzim at first, or were you just were just called straight to the base and then spread out?
So usually before October 7, I was deployed in non-combat position. During my active service, I used to be a team officer in Duvdevan. This is my unit. But on my reserve duty, I was in charge of combat experience and recruits to the commander. But on October 7, I realized that something happened and I can't stay from the side and I have to go to fight for my country. So I went into my base, as I said, but then a friend of mine, a teammate of mine, which I used to train with during my training course, told me that they got called up into Bilo. It's a different base of the 551st Brigade. And he told me, Kuno, this is how they call me, you have to join us. So I felt like, of course, I'm going to join my team. It felt very natural. And I just joined them. And instead of going to the kibbutzim, I went into Bilu, and it was total chaos. And by saying that, I mean, we didn't understand what are people going through at the same time while we were in the base, because we got ordered to get ready to Iran, to get ready to Lebanon, to get ready to Gaza. Like everything was we couldn't understand what's going on. And unfortunately, we wasn't had the opportunity or the privilege to go directly to the Gaza Strip. I still feel a bit of guilty about that. And I always thinking in my mind how many lives I could have saved if I was there at the same time. But no, we were in the base getting ready each time for different order. And until, I think after 3 weeks of preparation and getting ready over and over again to different places, we were the first division to cross the border of Gaza and to get into the Gaza envelope.
Wow.
Gaza
Yeah,
Strip.
no, there was a lot of, obviously, a lot going on that morning. And by the time, IDF got into the kibbutzim and the Nova, everything was too late. There were a lot of people killed and kidnapped before then. And it was a whole thing. What was the toughest part for you about serving in Gaza after you guys got in already?
It's a good question, and I think each interview have different answers. But right now, when you ask me that, I have a memory that just popped into my mind. In one of the time, me and Shiran, we had an opportunity to speak with each other through the classified phone. As I told you, she also served in my unit.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I could have communicated with her through the red phone. This is how we call it in Hebrew, telephone adom. And most of the time we couldn't communicate, but those times when we could, we were speaking a little bit, and we had like a kind of a code thing when Shiran used to ask me, Elkana, you heard? And every time when she asked me that way, I understood that I probably lost one of my friends or something. And this is how she's asking me that. And in one of the days, I was after an operation. We was need to bomb one of the terror entrance tunnels, and it was a very, very hard day, physically hard day. I came back to the place that we were in, and I just rest a little bit. And we had the opportunity sometimes to have the radio, so we turned on the radio and we were hearing some music. But then at the end, the reporter, I remember her saying that after very tough battle at Gaza, two officers died, and then she mentioned the first name were Shai Shamriz. When I just heard that name, I turned off the radio. I didn't want it to hear even the next name because I was asking my friends, did I hear it properly? It was Shai? Then they all said, yes, Shai Shamriz. And Shai Shamriz was a very good friend of mine. He used to learn in my mechina, then he used to serve in my unit. And I was devastated. And then when she called me, she asked me if I know, and I said yes, Shai. But then she told me yes, and Shauli. So like, wait a second, what? Then she told me yes, Shauli. And Shauli, I think a lot of people know him, Shauli Greenlick.
Shauli Greenlick, yeah, I will never forget his voice. He has. So to those who don't know, Shauli participated in Israel's Next Star to the Eurovision last year. He wanted to represent Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest, and he was doing in the reserves, and unfortunately he got killed in the battle before he made it to the second round after the first audition. And he has a beautiful voice.
Yes, so Shem was telling me that, and this is just broke me. I felt like I didn't know what to do. Like, all right, I just could have handled 1, 2. Like Shauli was like, after hearing all of those friends that I lost, another one was too much, and I was devastated. I think this point was one of the hardest point during my time in Gaza, because when you're preparing yourself to bad news, but then you get something even harder at the same time, you're not ready for that. And I didn't I met Shauli just after I got married to my wife because I'm not originally from Ra'anana, but I moved to Ra'anana after we got married, and Shauli was in her class, and they were good friends. And he was a special guy, very funny, smiling, and everyone who was around him knew him. He was like an amazing guy. And yeah, this was a very hard moment for me.
Yeah, his family is very special too. They've been performing in his memory and honoring him, and it's just incredible. And the amazing connection between him and Yuval Rafael, the girl who will represent Israel in this year's Eurovision contest, is also amazing. She survived the Nova Festival. She's one of very few people who survived the shelter that she was in. And she had to play dead for a while, and it was a whole thing. And she's going to represent Israel this year, and they met on a trip to South America, I think. And they got together, and they have a video singing together also that his sister, Shauli's sister, posted online. So it's incredible. May his memory be a blessing. And it is sad that we lost, and we keep losing all these amazing people. So what were two really significant moments for you during the current war, that something you witnessed, something you're going to take with you for the rest of your life?
So after 6 days of fighting at the Gaza Strip, which I barely could communicate with my wife, I decided to write a letter to her. And during that time of writing a letter, I understood that we are witnessing to something that not only us, but the entire world should be aware and be able to understand what we're going through. But not only that this is a historical moment, and I'm not have the opportunity to understand and process everything we're going through. So for that moment, I decided to keep a journal every day to document as much as I could our emotion, what we've done, what we've did, what we were doing, everything I could, in order to be able to understand what we're doing, but also to be able to share our story. And I think that moment was very significant for me, because from that moment, I understood what we're doing. Until then, it was just I was acting as a machine, like
autopilot.
Think. Yeah, but after start writing everything, it's made me think and helped me to grasp what we've been through.
So that's when you started writing your journals. So how did the whole book idea come about after that?
So after I start documenting everything, every night my friends from my team used to tell me, Kuno, please read some lines from your journal, tell us what we've done today. And I would start reading to them, and then they said, oh my God, you have to do something with that. And also friend of us, not only soldiers, but families outside of the kibbutzim, that were, every time when we got out of the Gaza Strip, they were hosting us. And they told us, can you read something for us? And I was reading what we've done, and they told me, Kuno, you have to do something with that. And I did. I was posting, I post something on Facebook as I'm an officer. I just left the Gaza Strip. I kept a journal every day, and I want some publishing house to help me with that journal to publish it as a book. And then I got the connections, and I published it as a book, which became very successful. I didn't plan that to be very successful. People also asking me, how did you decide to stop doing that? So it was also the letter that I start doing the right to Shuran. But I think that, how do you say that, Muda, in my subcontent?
Yeah, subconscious, yeah.
Subconscious. My grandfather, he used to fight in the 6-day war. And my grandmother gave him a camera and told him, Yehuda, you should document as much as you can. And then after the war, he published the book himself. And I think probably it set back in my mind. And when I had the opportunity, I did it. And so this is how it's became a book.
That's amazing. And what was that process like for you? Going through that, seeing your feelings and stories come to light in this book and, band together like in this thing. I feel like, I've never written a book, obviously, but it feels like an exciting, but also a nerve-wracking experience to know that that's it. Now all of your stories, the feelings and everything you've been through is out there, or out there to the world to see.
Yeah, some of them being censored, but yeah, the majority, you're right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, if I should do it, because you're very exposed to the war, not only like you're exposing yourself, you're exposing your name, but it also like exposing deep thoughts, fears, what you've been through. But I felt that this is more important to allow people to understand what we've been through than my own fear. And this is why I decided to do it, because I saw how many people didn't understand what does that mean to be a combat soldier? What does that mean to lose a friend? What does that mean to fight out of love to your loved one while you're fighting an enemy who do as much as he could out of hatred to your people? And I wanted people to be able to get into our shoes, to get into our sweat uniforms and understand that, because we've been through a lot. And while we're talking, we're still going through, and there are still 63 hostages that hold in captivity. Some of them are alive, some of them are already got murdered, unfortunately. So we're still living that. But I want people to be able to understand what we've been through.
Yes, and hopefully by the time this episode is released, we're going to see more hostages come out and be reunited with their families.
All of them.
Yeah, hopefully all of them by that time. Well, they should have been released a long time ago. But yeah, we need the deceased to be released to receive a dignified burial in Israel, and the living to be rehabilitated and start their healing journey with their families. That's very important. What kind of feedback did you get from readers that, read your book, and Israelis and non-Israelis, outside of Israel?
So Baruch Hashem, till now, I'm get a lot of good response. A lot of people, soldiers who read it and told me that reading my journal allowed them to process what they've been through. And parents of soldiers, they told me that they didn't understand what their son's going through, and this has allowed them to understand. Psychotherapists who told me that this allowed them to speak with their patients. Psychiatrists, people like ultra-Orthodox families that usually against serving, told me that this journal, this book allowed them to rethinking about what they need to do, and it changed some of their minds. But also non-Jewish people, like from all over the world. I got some people who told me that it was eye-opening for them. I also, one day, I was overseas and I saw that Benjamin Netanyahu, our prime minister, was quoting from a book. Naftali Bennett were talking about that book. A lot of amazing people. Mark Levin from Fox News decided to wrote the preface for the book. So I think it's touched a lot of people. And I think the reason why it touched a lot of people, because it was natural. I wasn't exaggerated. I just wrote what I felt, what we've been through, what we actually saw. So a lot of people got touched by this book. And more than that, I think that book, it is not my story. Maybe I was the one to publish it as a book, but this is the story of thousands of soldiers who fought side by side their friends to defend their people and to defend their country. So this book is much bigger than me, and this is what I feel.
And how does your family feel about this, about the whole experience for you?
It's also a good question. It's a good question because it's exposed. You expose you, it's expose your family, and I think sometimes, like my wife, rather to be on the side, she wants to be on the spot under the spotlight. But also, I didn't believe that this will become such a big thing as bestseller in Israel, in the United States. I didn't, like, in my dream, I didn't thought it will turn out to be such a successful book. I just thought, like, this is something that I wrote through the war, like nothing will happen with it. So they proud, and I don't know, I think something around.
That's great. I mean, it's important that people, especially from outside of Israel, listen to these stories and read about these experiences, because, you know, in Israel, most of us serve in the IDF. Not all of us are combats, of course, but we know a lot of people that serve as a combat, or, you know, we have this collective experience, and we understand the depths of it and the risk, obviously. But outside of Israel, people don't always understand what it takes to be on that battlefield, what it takes to experience all those things and try to remain strong enough and resilient to continue with your life afterwards, because that's very difficult. So how has it been for you now? Like, you know, I'm sure you still have to go back every time, but how has it been, like, in the past couple of weeks?
So the past couple of weeks, it was fine. Baruch Hashem, we just had a new baby.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. His name is Natan, after my friend that I lost in Gaza. But it's like, we're very happy to have him. It's amazing. Like, I didn't knew that you can love someone so much until I met him. So Baruch Hashem, everything is good the past few weeks. Of course, I'm putting myself aside, like what's going on outside of my family, because we heard a lot of tragedy with the hostages, with the Bibat family, with things that's going on outside, like my own private family. But it's not that simple to go back from reserve, from combat field into life. It's huge changes that you need to do. On October 7, I shut down my business. I used to have a very successful business, and unfortunately, I was needed to shut it down, and I couldn't build it up so far again. And we're going through a lot, but I think I really believe that we're going to have some amazing and good future. So I'm really positive, but we're going through a hard time. But I think staying positive, this is what allowed us to go through such a difficult time.
Yeah, it's I hear a lot of stories from different people who served in the reserves, especially about how tough it is to go from combat, you know, being on the battlefield, and then come back to the real life, and you have, you know, wife and kids and your job or business or whatever it is, and it's a life-changing experience, especially now, because, you know, usually when people go into the reserves, they go for like a few days and then they come back like once a year. But now it's like a year and a half almost of constant, you know, serving, and it's a lot. It's very heavy, you know, mentally and physically also, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. When you're saying it's heavy, I just want to let you know, me and my wife together, we served this since October 7, over than 600 days together, each one of us above than 300 days, me and my wife.
Wow.
It's definitely hard. It's not that easy, but we understand that this is important and this is what we're doing that. But yeah, it's hard. But you asked me before if I have any input, like experience that I would like to share, or something that I remember.
Yeah, significant experience.
So one of the time, I just remembered right now, one of the time we were needed to concrete a school. Mm-hmm. We knew that school was full with terror infrastructure, but we also knew that it was full with civilians. So as we always do, we start calling them all out, but no one left the area. We didn't understand why. So we used our drones in order to scan that school from above. And then we saw that there is Hamas guards inside that school that didn't let those civilians to leave the area. So first we start calling them all out. No one left the area. And we tried to figure what we're doing. And then we saw those Hamas guards. But more than that, one time through the drone, we saw there was a kid. I think it was a 5-year-old kid. We tried to run away, and one of the Hamas guards took his AK-47 and shot and killed this little kid in front of his mom.
Oh my God.
That point, we understood that we have to kill those guards, not only for our sake, but also for their sake. But then one of the Hamas guard went on the rooftop. He knew exactly where we were. We were like 300 meters away in a different building. And he went on the rooftop and he was holding a baby, just like that, on top of the rooftop.
Oh.
We didn't understood and we didn't knew what to do. And he did that because he knew that even if we're going to kill him, this little baby will fall off the roof. And behind him was a guy that was holding a camera and just waited for us to take that shot. Well, we didn't take that shot, and because we didn't want to put this little baby on the risk. Even though at that time they knew exactly where we were, they could have aimed any sniper or RPG they had towards us. But then after a few minutes, he went on the rooftop again, surrounded by a group of women. One of them banged a little bit, and it was enough for our sniper to take that shot and to kill this guard. And after that, we were able to let all those civilians to leave this area. But I'm sharing that because I want people to understand what we're going through while we're fighting. We're dealing with enemy that don't care about his own people, while his own people supporting this enemy. This is like the weird thing. Even though our enemy use his own people, they supporting, the vast majority voted for Hamas. The vast majority, when I went to their houses, were full with ammunition. Each house was, at the beginning of the house, they had a picture of a mortar. There was just all of them full with hate against us. And this is the enemy. And unfortunately, now we see every time when they're releasing hostages, we see how they bringing all of their babies, all of their children to watch and to be witness to releasing of those innocent, amazing people that their only sent were dancing in a festival music. So this is the enemy that we're fighting against, and we have to understand that otherwise we will never be able to win, because as long as we don't understand that the vast majority at the Gaza Strip wants us dead, we won't be able to win there.
Yeah, I mean, they're being brainwashed since birth, being indoctrinated, and we can see it in all those services. Like when they had the Bibas family on the stage in their coffins, and they had like celebratory music and people with their kids dancing and cheering. That's just horrific. It's you're bringing your children to watch some kind of a show of coffins with dead babies in there. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I don't know how people can be okay with that. It's insane. And I hope the stories that you share and other soldiers share will kind of, get into people's brains and make them understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned the Bibas thing that happened there. In order to overcome what we've been through, I think I every time I'm kind of ignoring what we're going through. Like, I'm trying to put myself out of the situation, even though I'm hearing a lot of people who dying, and in order to be able to survive and to still function, I'm putting myself aside and I'm not paying so much attention. Like, that thing with the Bibas family on that stage just shattered my heart. Like, I imagined Eitan, my baby, there, and I was imagining how they did what they've done to the Bibas babies. Like, how could anyone do it? How is human are able to do such a thing? Even if you fall with hatred, how can you slaughter a baby?
Yeah, with bare hands, not with not shooting them, not with a knife. With their bare hands, they strangled them. It's horrible. As a mom, I just thinking about that and thinking about how Shiri felt when that happened. Did they do it in front of her? I don't know, but I can't even imagine that the amount of pain that she was in during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the rest of the hostages come home before, we lose more people. That's very important. So where can people purchase your book? And do you have a website that they can go to?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for asking. I have a website. It's usually work for people who purchasing the book inside Israel. So it will be elkana-cohen.com. But if you want to purchase the book outside of Israel, you can go through Amazon or all the stores and just look for Elkana Cohen or Oct 7. You'll find my book. And I really hope that I'll be able to help with Israel PR by allowing people understand what we've been through and what we saw, because I think this is the most important thing that we can do right now in order to let our hostages be brought back to their families, to pressure Hamas all over the world. This is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and you'll be coming to the U.S. In the next few months, right? And speaking in some places. We'll try to bring you over here too, to Bethel, to Baltimore. So hopefully it will happen. So on a lighter note, just before we go, I have this little segment called Favorite Israeli Thing. So I'll ask you a couple of little questions. What is your favorite childhood memory in Israel?
It's a problem. I don't know how to say it in English, but there is a place called Mitzpeh Yami, which is under.
Yeah, it's like an undersea. Like
sea.
when you see. Yeah, it's like a submarine kind of when you go down and see all the fish and the.
Yeah. So before a couple of years, like 20-something years ago, I was living in Eyal.
Oh.
I remember my parents taking me there almost every day, and I knew all the fishes and like all the things that like going under the sea, and I still remember that.
Yeah, that one is really fun. I took my daughter there a few years ago and we visited. It was really nice to be there. Obviously it's been a year since I was there before then when I was younger, but now bringing, my daughter there to see the fish and the sharks and all those things, it was really cool. And it's really nice what they did with the place. They renovated it since. It looks really
I never been there since then, but yeah.
You should go. Yeah, take your baby.
You're right.
What is your favorite, who is your favorite Israeli author?
To be honest, I'm not reading books at all. I'm
really?
Like I have dyslexia. I don't know how, I even wrote a journal, but probably, wait a second. I have to, Esther Streitwurzel. Okay. She's someone that I read some of her books and she's amazing.
What is one of the books that she has that you liked?
Ori, Shachar. She had books about youth, about
Okay.
I really like books.
Who's an Israeli IDF hero that you look up to?
Wow.
Yeah.
Tough question.
I know.
Maybe Ofer Winter. I don't know. He used to be the commander of my unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that, I see him as an example for someone that I need to go after, but I never met him personally.
All right. And what is your favorite place in Israel to go and relax, enjoy time with family, by yourself? Jerusalem. Any particular place in Jerusalem, or just the whole city?
Just go through the whole city till the Kotel.
Nice. And lastly, what is your favorite Hebrew word or expression?
Sababa.
Sababa.
I know, it just popped into my mind. Sababa.
That seems to be a favorite word of a few of previous guests, so that's nice.
No, it's easy because if you're an English speaker, probably one of the three words sababa or magni, achla, yeah. Shoko besakit. Yeah.
Oh, no, shoko besakit. I don't think that people know about that. Shoko besakit is chocolate milk in a bag. That's like a staple of Israel. If you ever went to summer camp as a kid in Israel, you had shoko b'sakit and a roll, an empty roll with nothing in it. Or, that's like every morning Israeli kids back in the day especially used to drink shoko b'sakit. That was our morning drink.
Yes, I remember a lot of people are coming from overseas to Israel. What word do you know? You know what? I love shoko b'sakit. This is what they will first tell you. Like shoko b'sakit, shoko b'sakit.
It is delicious. It is the best shoko out there.
Yeah.
All right, Elkana, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege for me.
And thank you all for listening. Until next time.